let me talk a bit about Captain America Civil War. Captain America has always been a big deal in Marvel Comics, even before the company was called Marvel Comics. Originally appearing in Timely Comics, Captain America made his debut in 1941. As of the making of this video, that means the character is 84 years old. By 1961, Timely had become Marvel, and Captain America was needed again as a member of the Avengers, a team he joined in Avengers issue number 4 in 1964. It was much the same in the MCU. Iron Man was first. Thor was second if you don't count Edward Norton's Hulk movie. Captain America was the third solo hero to get his own film, and an Avengers movie followed right after that. Of course, he got a second solo movie, Captain America the Winter Soldier, but this video is about the third and final film in the Steve Rogers trilogy, and why I consider it the hardest working entry in all of the MCU. In the first film, we met Steve Rogers pre-Super Soldier Serum. Along with his best friend, Bucky, we also met his love interest, Peggy Carter. The stakes were high. The fate of the entire free world and the stopping of the Tesseract, later to be revealed as the Space Stone, which was being wielded by Red Skull. Steve is frozen after succeeding in his mission, never getting that dance with Peggy, and gets thawed out later in time to stop the Tesseract again. We learn that Steve is a man who puts his ideals and values first and never compromises. In the second film, Steve learns that Bucky is alive, having been similarly augmented and has been used as an assassin on and off whenever his keepers decide to unfreeze him. The stakes are also high, the fate of the entire free world and the stopping of a Hydra-infested shield. Steve's ideals and values are tested, but he stays true to his convictions. He ignores orders from those who are supposed to be his superiors. That is the heroism of Steve Rogers. The world around him may change, but he does not. This is what makes him an icon, a paragon of all heroes in Marvel. Yet, the stakes in the second film were also very personal. He is a man out of time. He wants to save his friend, the last reminder of his old life. This is part of what elevates this film above so many of the other offerings from the MCU. I'd say that only Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and especially Volume 3, explore friendship as much as the Captain America trilogy. In Captain America Civil War, it's all personal, and not just for Steve. This is where the heavy lifting comes in. Steve learns that the Winter Soldier has been sighted and goes to retrieve him. He wants to save his friend and undo the brainwashing that turned him into a weapon. This culminates the Steve-Bucky arc that started in the first film. Along the way, Steve says goodbye to an elderly Peggy in this film and attends her funeral. Then he learns that Bucky was sighted because Zemo, a covert operative who wants revenge against the Avengers, has framed him for a terrorist attack that ended the life of the King of Wakanda. This is how the film introduces T'Challa, the Black Panther. T'Challa wants to find Bucky and get revenge for his father. Zemo wants revenge for the loss of his wife and child, who perished as a result of Ultron's handiwork in the previous Avengers movie. Ultron had planned the extinction of the human race by turning Zemo's country, Sokovia, into a weapon, elevating it high into the sky and dropping it as a world-ending asteroid of sorts. Tony Stark and Bruce Banner accidentally created Ultron, and that, along with certain unfortunate events at the beginning of this film, Captain America Civil War, have put the Avengers on the UN's radar. Some protocols were written and signed by lots of nations that would force the Avengers to operate under the orders of the UN. Tony signed these accords along with some of the other heroes, but Steve refused to, along with some of the other heroes, because it went against his ideals and values. Steve never changes, even when the world around him does. The Avengers are now fractured. This fracture and Steve's efforts to save Bucky from wrongful arrest or even unaliving at the hands of soldiers or the Black Panther lead to a huge fight at an airport in Germany. Heroes versus heroes. Wanting an ace in the hole, Tony recruits a street-level augmented individual to assist his team against Steve. Audiences are introduced to the MCU's version of Spider-Man. The airport battle ends with some of Steve's team being arrested and one of Tony's team being gravely injured, and the Black Widow betraying Tony to help Steve and Bucky escape. As the film reaches its climax, Tony receives evidence that Bucky was framed. Steve and Bucky, and separately Tony, race towards a Russian super soldier facility where other Winter Soldier candidates are being stored. They arrive just behind Zemo. Steve explains that Bucky is innocent of the attack earlier in the film, and Tony explains that he already knows this and is there to help them. Unknown to any of them, T'Challa, the Black Panther, is right behind them. Differences are put aside, but as they proceed through the facility, they discover that Zemo had not intended to free the other Winter Soldiers, but rather wanted the records of Bucky's missions. He plays a tape, and it is revealed that Bucky was behind the assassination of Tony's parents. He was brainwashed and not in control of himself, but Tony doesn't care, and now he wants revenge for the deaths of his mother and father. Zemo, having admitted his role in the attack that framed Bucky and took the life of T'Challa's father, takes his leave, his revenge complete. Steve and Tony fight as Bucky tries to escape. In the end, Steve wins and leaves with Bucky, his relationship with Tony shattered. The Avengers are no more. T'Challa finds Zemo about to take his own life, but stops him and brings him to justice. This shows T'Challa's nobility and compassion. He recognizes Zemo's pain and motivation and knows that despite what Zemo has done, it is not his place to pass judgment. Wow, that is a lot going on in one film. This film serves as the end of the Steve Rogers trilogy. Steve has not been changed by the new world he's in. He still holds on to his values, ideals, and heroism. He has a bittersweet ending with Peggy. As far as we are aware, he is reunited with Bucky and hopeful for the future. His stakes were entirely personal. Tony has been consumed by vengeance. And while he was unsuccessful, it has destroyed the Avengers. This weakens Earth's defenses and sets the stage for Thanos. Tony's stakes, in the end, were entirely personal. Zemo, also consumed by vengeance, succeeded. The Avengers were torn asunder. His stakes were entirely personal. This film introduced T'Challa, the Black Panther, and he instantly became loved. At first seeking vengeance, he refused to be consumed by it, establishing his character perfectly and setting the stage for his upcoming solo film, and his stakes were entirely personal. This film also introduced the newest Spider-Man, who was also instantly loved. Even with minimal screen time, the character was perfectly established, and the stage was also set for his own upcoming solo film. Finally, this film featured a massive battle between two teams of heroes with differing ideologies. 12 heroes went toe-to-toe, proving that the MCU could handle such large-scale action. Every character had time to shine. Every character's personality and fighting style was showcased. The choreography and positioning of everyone during all of the action never got confusing. Since the two directors would be the ones making the next two Avengers films, Captain America Civil War was almost like practice for that. They could pull it off, and audiences could follow along without any confusion. There you have it. the satisfying end of a trilogy, the disassembling of the Avengers, the introduction of two new heroes who were instantly popular and beloved, the furtherance of Tony's mental degradation and fear, an exploration of vengeance in its many facets, proof that a film could be compelling with purely personal stakes, and a demonstration, a taste of the large-scale action viewers would soon see as the Infinity Saga came to a head. Captain America: Civil War. Doing some heavy lifting, the hardest working movie in all of the MCU. Thanks for watching. See you next time.